Labas, hola, hello, здравствуйте. How are you guys doing? This is Jurgita with Magic Pan Crafts, and I'm back for my little bit late, but March month overview with my stitching and life happenings. So grab a cup of drink or anything else, you know, coffee, tea, water, or something stronger like wine. I won't judge you. I like wine and beer and stuff. So March was longer than February, right? We got extra couple days to stitch, and I've done 7 whips, and one of them actually I finished. And why is this flipping? Oh, probably my memory. Seems that we're gonna have some technical difficulties with cameras again, and that's been like in life. Every time I want to start filming, gathering my stuff, there's like something else I need to do, or the weather is super bad, or kids screaming in the background. So while they're still at school, I'm trying to get this fastly done. So as I was trying to mention before, I had one finish. If you remember, I stitched this Queen Anne's lace. It was from Just Cross Stitch magazine of April 2016 by Nora Corbet, and I was stitching on 32 count over 2/2, and if you remember that I just needed few, like literally like 14 beads that I was short from a package, Mill Hill beads, so it took me a while to get it. I ordered from one place, and after a while they said it's not coming, so then I ordered from another place together with other stuff. And I think I'll show all my past few months purchases and finds on a separate video, in case if you don't want to watch this kind of stuff. And plus I think there's quite few of the items I have in there. So anyway, I'm gonna try to insert the pictures if it's possible. I'm still doing all the editing via my phone, so if not, then it's a Queen Anne's lace. So this is what it's supposed to look like. And as I mentioned, it's 32 count fabric, and I was doing that on my own colored fabric that I did kind of just like a painting on it. So I just pretty much needed to do some beadings, and she's done. So yeah, I needed those green, I don't know if it will focus, come on, focus, green beads, but that's what she looks like. And I kind of painted the fabric according to colors that are on her. It's quite a bit sparkly from like her stockings are done also with the Krynic that also I was short on it. So if you're planning to do this, girl, I'll show you what I used. So the threads, I've had plenty, and these are the colors that were needed on her. So it's very springy colors. I keep them all in one bag separately. Then, all right, so the thread that I needed more was 192, this pinkish, all right, come on. Anyway, so this is how much I have left, and those beads that, you know, I could curse, it was just these petite beads, so I needed to get, all right, why isn't it focusing? Technical difficulties, I'm telling you. I'm not technologically the person. Anyway, these bright beads, so I'm gonna have quite a bit of extra left, and it needed only handful of these size 8 glass beads. It's just the white, and then there was another little small white colored beads, reflection, and then mostly like around her wings and like a pom-poms on her feet. You had these 2 color pink ones. So that was pretty much it, what you needed to use for this girl. So I'm very excited. I have this for my daughter's room planned. I haven't decided how I'm gonna finish it, finally finish. Pillow or framing or what. Since it is hand-dyed fabric, I think it's probably like MCG textiles linen that I bought before. So yeah, I don't know. Any suggestions? Maybe something different than just a framing or a pillow that you see. So I'm very glad it's done. It was kind of hard sometimes to put in a row all of these green color beads. And if you would be doing on a smaller, even smaller count fabric, probably you would have to skip time after time one bead count, so they would be nice and straight put in. So I'll do the separate like up close thing for all my whips that I've done in March, which was the gathering, which I'm using for, I call it gathering. I'm using for Jane Austen's Read and Stitch Along group. Then of course the Washington Crossing, which I started, we as the big group started on Washington's birthday in February. So I'll be stitching that for years. Then I picked up the Lady of the Flag, and I did my Heaven and Earth Beloved, and I believe there was certain names to those 2 people, that couple that are featured on that drawing. I did a little bit linens and threads, you'll see, and one new thing I started is for my Lithuanian Stitch Along group that I'll explain more. It's a Chinese kit, it's called Snow Leopard, and we're doing that to compare with the original Dimensions kits to see how much difference it makes between what you buy in like AliExpress versus like a Dimension kits. So I'll put that video in there. So in March I worked on 7 total projects. One of them was finishing already, and as you can see, first of my whips was this summer ball that you could find in the Cross Stitch Collection August 2006 magazine, and I had this in Russian magazine. So I'll try to put in a picture where it was the last time you saw. And well, of course the colors on my printer here when I made a copy is not very good, and this is what I had done so far. So I'm doing it on a few snaps, and if you can see, the end. So that's how wide it's gonna be, and it's gonna be long that way. So if you could compare, the guys are pretty much fully done. His leg is just a little bit left to do, and all the background here is done, so it's like finished. And you can kind of notice the girl's facial profile. I did both of the ladies' hair, this and this lady. So I did the hair, and that's a profile, and her part of a dress here. She's gonna have those dainty gloves to use. So it's just very fun and fairly easy. It's not like a nerd project. And I'm using this, I think 18 count. Anyway, I'll write it down below. or in my screen. So yeah, once you put in all those back stitches in the face, because before it was just a blob, I'm doing all the skin over one and the rest of it 2 over 2. So that's what it looks like. So that was beginning kickoff of my March projects. So my next one was Heaven and Earth and it's called Beloved, and somebody was mentioning that they're like Rowan and some other names of elves. So if you know what their names or what store is based, I don't know if Adele Sessler have done named them somewhere else. So it's fairly bland. It's only 27 colors, although you wouldn't think that's how many it is. So I'm doing on a 14 count over 1 with 4 threads, and I'm doing continental stitch. So don't mind my writing, and I'll show you what I've done so far. Let's put it there. That's what I have as of this moment. It's kind of folded up a little crookedly. So from far, it's you can't see any of like lines, especially with I'm using 310 black versus anchor black. But when you get up close, of course, you can start seeing all the in between spots. But when you look from far, so to compare, I have the guys like Aida and a little bit here, so you can see a little bit of the tattoo starting to come out in here, which is kind of so cool. And that's light coming from my window, not something in a design. So yeah, I love stitching it too, and it's hard to put any of the projects that I do and once you get into it. So yeah, that's what I've done so far on Beloved by Heaven and Earth Designs. I'll bring out the next. Oops. So my next one, if you probably can recognize, it's oh, why are you moving? It's a Lady of the Flag. And if I have a picture from before, I'll put it in. And I'm stitching on pre-printed fabric, like I've mentioned before, where the other side is plain. And I love it. It's after like small 40-32 pattern count fabrics, this is very easy to do. So I pretty much just continued going that way, and I'm almost to the bottom of it. Almost. There's still going to be something, but that's a flag and dress. And you can see all those spaces is going to be filled with beads. You can kind of tell the pattern. And it's not a lot of color variation, so you kind of just go and start with one color and just go in the sort of like big blocks. It's just with this fabric, all the dark writings can kind of be seen a little bit through the stitching. I don't know if I really like it. It might add a little bit to it, and to some might say, well, that's like can be see-through dress, right, for Lady of Flag. So, and as you can see, there's still stuff that I've done before rolled up, and you can up to her neck, and so you can see there's over one again that I'm doing the skin. So it's fun. I'm using these little stretchers on the side to hold it up. Maybe I'll show you a video of how you can do different ways to do the side stretching so it's not like wobbling loose. Plus I had a little bit more fabric than the frame itself could support, so kind of fold it up and stretch out this way. So this is my Lady of the Flag update for what I've done. I worked on that about 5 days in total in the March month. So next, I kind of work on this when I go somewhere. So it's Linen Threads Mystery Sampler. So I'm doing May part. I sort of started last year around May, I believe. So I'm still far behind, but I'm doing only like to go in the car, in purse, to doctor's appointments. And I'm using 3 colors totally in it, and a small count over 1 full cross. So that's how much I've done so far only. So I'm doing right now like right here, this part. So I still have this big one. I haven't decided which color I want to use. There's one variegated and sort of like a purplish color, and this kind of color. Yeah, so this is whole width of the full band. I know some have done just taking one motif and kind of went down, which is possible to do, but I decided to do the whole thing. And yeah, so compared to like my HAED Beloved, where it's on a 14 count, this is over 1, so it's fairly small, so I have to kind of get a good light and get up close and personal to my stitching. But I'm using this little itty bitty tiny frame, and I'm keeping it in my So Much to Love bag because I love coffee. And yeah, so that's gonna be taking a long time for me to do, but I'm in no hurry. It's a good little to-go project. We'll see what I have next. So my next one that I'll be working for years to come is this Washington Crossing. I've done a separate video on this with my piece of the sky, which is pretty much this kind of blob of not many colors, like 8, and this is what I've done so far. In 3rd page started, so that's how much is the 2 pages, and that's the width. Still gonna do in the 1 year. I'm gonna go all the way across since I have my fabric done, so it's gonna go all the way this way, and you can see like ending right here. So yeah, you can see color variation. Right now, like 4 colors are like main ones to mix in, and then time after time something pops. And there are strict rules again how to do it, and no loop method, no wax using. And I still left my 10 by 10 markings. I'll pull it out later. So that's my Washington Crossing a Delaware project with 105 more ladies, I believe, or 111. Oop, I'll write it down somewhere. Well, I've started something new. It's my Lithuanian group. I'm doing sale that compares original made designs and kits with like Chinese versions. I'm doing with somebody for comparison, and of course I'm having Chinese Joy Sunday pattern kit, the whole kit, and it's 14 count. Everything was included. It's a snow leopard, so, and it's on a pre-printed fabric that's going to be washed out later. I've seen quite a few that were washing and seemed like it's washed out well, so that's what it's gonna look like. And this is what I've done right now. So as you see, all of colors, and they actually give a DMC version, like this would be 310 of DMC, whatever they gave. Of course, it's kind of hard to tell how much I've stitched, so this is how much I've done so far. That's my back showing, so you can tell where the branches are and the sky. So just pick up, you know, it's also good for traveling, as long as there's no water involved, you know, so you can't have wet hands or anything. So just grab it and start stitching one color blobs until it kind of finish up. And so that's almost like a, that's where it's gonna end. So I have almost the whole width again to do. And you can kind of already see his eye. See his eye and his ear right here popping out. And those pink spots, of course, will be filled in. But this dark blue is filled in. Yeah, so it's very slow, fairly fast actually, but it's relaxing, enjoying, and you don't have to think hard if you're gonna miss or skip. There's some unevenness with the printed little squares, tiny bit in a few areas, but then it kind of goes back to normal. So yeah, so I'm doing that, and we'll see how the final result is gonna be to comparison. I believe it was original was dimensions kit, so I'll try to show you what both side by side would look like in the pictures or something like that. So that was my new thing, and that was what I worked on. I still have as the whips from March month. I don't know why I want to say May. I guess I'm waiting for May to come out. And so that's it with my leftover whips. So yeah, those I can't get my Stitchy bug to even take a short nap. It seems like it's all it's asking. Maybe it's a she because she's a stubborn. Keeps asking stitch, 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 you know, and not do anything else. You don't need to sleep, you don't need to eat, you know, quick 5-minute break for bathroom and eating, and you have to do it more stitching kind of thing. And don't we all want extra hours? So what was happening in my life, in case you want to know, then you can just pick up your stitching and listen to my ramblings, right? So March started with our subdivision annual meeting, and it's still not a good turnout. I don't know why people are so not interested in what's gonna happen in their lives, because there were big decisions, big changes made, and out of like 100 some houses, maybe 160, geez, I don't even know, it's a big subdivision, maybe like 30 show up, and it was lasted for a long time. But I mean, you know, a couple hours in a whole year, when it was on a Saturday when a lot of people don't work, why can't they go? I don't know, it's just weird to me. So that happened, and it was, of course, you know, school book fairs, and what I like, they do like twice a year, I believe, and they do reading nights where they really encourage students and their families to do some reading, like real paper books, not just, you know, listen to the tape. So kids start reading, they bring their, you know, bean bags if they want, blankets, pillows, and they just sit on a, like couches pulled out in the hallways. That was in middle school anyway. And they sit, read the books together with friends, and then families join them, and then there is the, you know, like a pizza and drinks and cookies. So it's encouraging and bonding time. Families also bring their own books if they want to read, or you can go and buy books from that book fair and start reading. So instead of just, you know, playing on the computers, they read together, right? And then, of course, there was Lithuanian independence, 100th independence celebration that we, my Lithuanian group, local one, did. We invited like a folk group from Indianapolis, Indiana, called Beer Bar, to come and give a concert. So we organized that, and it was fun. There was quite a bit of a dancing involved, and dancing polkas type music, and it was fun. My feet were sore next day, very so. And the next day we had mass in a church where I played, and actually this troop stayed and came to help me sing during the mass, Lithuanian hymnals, I guess you would say. And we had lunch downstairs afterwards with some purely Lithuanian item raffles. So it's fun, but it's very tiring, you know. Exciting and tiring, you know. Once in a lifetime you would get 100 years, right? And of course there was a St. Patrick's Day in March, and that was the same day that my Canasta group gathering was, and we celebrated one of the ladies' birthdays, and we wore green, and there's meals were colored in green, and it was fun. Then my middle child, my son, with his scouts were going on a camping on a very stormy, rainy weekend. And he was the head chef for it, so which meant that kids beforehand, they gather up at the meeting and they decide what kind of food they want to eat. Like, you know, there's a breakfast, let's see, Friday dinner they eat at home. So Saturday breakfast, lunch, dinner, and Sunday breakfast. So they decide what to eat, and my son, as a head chef, had to look up the menus, you know, what to use to make it. Then had to go grocery shopping for. You get certain amount of money limit, pretty much, and you try to get within that limit. If you can, less. So we had quite a few hours spent trying to find the best deals, you know, and we did they wanted to have a shish kebabs, which we marinated the night before he left. They said it turned out good. I've never marinated like really shish kebabs, and so actually he had some leftovers, so he brought home for a tasting. And they had Philly cheesesteaks and French toast, you know, and stuff like that, and of course some veggies and things. So yeah, so it was fun, you know. If he's interested, I'm glad that boys like to do the cooking, because it means when they move out, they won't starve themselves or just eat pizza day after day. What else in March was happening? So there was the Easter, right? And a Fool's Day. It's like, who came up with that, right? Exactly. And for Easter, we went to like southern Wisconsin, northern Illinois state to visit my sister-in-law. She was hosting Easter. And luckily, it seems like every time we go to visit her, there's a store, Black Cat Stitchery, that I think Priscilla and Chelsea go a lot. And so we managed to go in there finally and look around, because I don't have any LNS by me. So hi guys. The lady was that was opening that day, the store, it was very helpful. There are a couple of people sitting there, and I had my daughter with me. So it was cold. All right, my memory seems like going down, so I have, I think, just a couple of minutes left. So yeah, it was exciting. I got some more stuff than I was planning to get from a store, which is always happening when you go shopping, and it's good to support the brick and mortar store. Lastly, I want to do a big shout out to Michelle Garrett. She said very nice words, shouting out to me, and it seems like every person, every new Flosstuber, she goes and looks, she has very warm, welcoming words to give out. So thank you, Michelle, for bringing attention to all the other Flosstubers about all those newbies and being such a nice person. So I've been watching a lot of new Flosstubers, to me at least, and I don't think I'm gonna have time enough to do the shout outs, but I'll do for really next time. I'll try to get them in my video. And yeah, and like you, Michelle, I've been watching pretty much everybody on 1.5 times speed just to try to catch up to all the current ones. I even have to skip some of the Stitch With Me videos because I want to see all like monthly and weekly and bi-weekly updates of my usual ones. And yeah, some of them you can't watch that fast, you know, and some you practically can do up to 2 times speed if you want, and you can still understand them. So I think that's it. And very quick question for those who watched movies. There was one movie that when I came in US and I started knowing English, learning about it, I've seen my friend's house, and it was her stepfather's house that when I visited. I've seen that movie and she swears she's never heard of it, and I'm really trying to find out its name. So I don't know if it was American made or it was foreign made movie with English, you know, talking over. But the main story is there was a famous brain surgeon that had a wife, and seems like he was walking one evening like on their anniversary or something, and he got like mugged, woke up with no memory at all. So he started traveling from little town to town doing just odd jobs and helping people medically. And it turns out that he's like he was doing like a surgery type style without even, you know, knowing what he's doing, but he felt that he can do it. So they did a surgery on one guy's legs, which local doctor said he'll never walk. So this guy did some kind of surgery, and the guy was walking and practically dancing. And then there was emergency situation when there's local girl that he got to know and befriend, young woman that got in an accident, and it was brain trauma. Is that how you say it? And he actually steals local doctors' surgical instruments and performs the brain surgery on her. And it turns out that he's been pulled, like, you know, some surgical doctor has been brought in for the judgment of him, you know, because he illegally performed surgery and stole instruments or borrowed. And turns out that he was recognized as this famous brain surgeon, and the girl was his daughter, you know. So it was a very touchy story. So anyway, if you guys heard of it or seen it, maybe you can tell me what's the name of it. I've been searching and searching, and I really would like to get this movie. I guess I'll talk to you in several weeks for my like usually monthly update. And I think the storm is about to hit me, and the kids should be coming home. And I hope you guys have a great stitch time, and that you stitch while I was blabbering about all those things. And yeah, so I'll do all my other shout outs next time for other Flosstubers, and I hope you guys have a great time. Till the next time, bye bye, Aida.